What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Future Knight Eric here, and I'm coming at you with a very special deck profile. Today, we're obviously going to be covering Lair of Darkness, but this is just not all any Lair of Darkness deck profile. This is actually my 1000 subscribers special deck profile, and updates to probably my second favorite deck of all time next to Burning Abyss, and the deck that actually got this channel started. My very first Lair of Darkness deck profile blew up at the time of its release and actually helped me gain 500 subscribers really quickly. So this deck profile, this update, after the few waves of support, is long overdue. What's also very special about this deck profile is I actually took this to locals today and I won. It was a 4-round locals, 16 players, just one short of that 5 rounds, but maybe for the best. And I took this deck and I went 4-0, only dropping a single game the entire day. My matchups for the day was round 1 was against Gotti, a very interesting deck. Obviously the lose con to that deck is just never letting them get to their synchro, because that synchro is absolutely absurd. Round 2 was against Flunder. I managed to steal that even after losing the dice roll. And then round 3 was against Mathmech. Just being able to control their graveyard and their field, stop them from ever getting into the extra deck for anything. And then round 4 was against one of the better players in South Africa, Byron, one of my really good friends. He was on Medolce with, the nuts, shifters and prosperities, and the deck uninterrupted is absolutely insane. We went back and forth and I actually dropped the game to him, but ended up taking that match, coming first place and winning this beautiful Power of the Elements mat, as well as a poster, which I didn't realize came with some of these sealed mats. This mat is going to be included in a giveaway in this video at some point in the video, probably changing between main and extra, or extra and side. I'll let you know how you can enter the giveaway for this mat, and I'll throw in the poster, why not. But yeah, you'll have to stick around for that. Obviously, a huge shout out to absolutely everyone who's subscribed to the channel. If you're new to the channel, please consider dropping a sub. We have reached 1,000. We are finally a YouTube partner. We are monetized, but obviously the grind never stops, and I really appreciate any support at all. That being said, not much else more to say. Let's just jump right into the deck profile. This deck is absolutely stunning and actually pretty good, turns out. To start, we obviously play the 3 best card in the entire deck, Lilith, Lady of Lament. Getting her into cycle and starting to loop Lilith is absolutely insane, and obviously with your Lair of Darkness she becomes a lot more powerful, excuse me. So Lilith, what exactly does she do? Although this is technically an update to my Lair of Darkness deck profiles that I've done on the channel, I do want it to be a little bit more informative and introductory to somebody who's only getting into the deck now. And lucky for you, if you are only getting into the deck now, the deck is literally the best it's ever been. So she is a quick effect tribute a dark monster to reveal 3 normal trap cards from your deck. Your opponent then chooses one randomly for you to set, the other 2 go back into the deck. If she's normal summoned, her beefy 2000 attack goes down to 1000, but there are ways to obviously special out to get that 2000 attack, which is very cool. Also, this obviously synergizes with our field spell, Lair of Darkness, which essentially lets you tribute your opponent's dark monsters, but we'll speak more on that when we get to it. But she is absolutely insane. Cycling your traps, obviously if you have 3 of the same trap, you reveal 3 of the same trap, it's absolutely insane. And she is the bread and butter of the deck since release, pretty much. Then for her sisters, I'll actually leave her on screen just so we can show off all of the ladies together. We are playing 2 of probably the second best one, Alice, the Lady of Lament. So she's the new one and she is absolutely insane. I saw her in my hand a lot of times when I thought I didn't want to see her, and she put in a lot of work. When she's normal summoned, she Master Reborns a Lady Lament. Straight up, it does target, unfortunately, but it's still absolutely insane, giving you some rank 3 plays, which is absolutely awesome, and obviously bringing back that Lilith to a 2000 attack. Then you can use her as an extender, because you can banish a normal trap from your hand or graveyard to special summon her. It's actually not even a normal trap, it's any trap. which is absolutely insane. Obviously you don't get the Monster Reborn effect with that because you are special summoning her. And then of course, if she is tribute, or if the card in its owner's possession is destroyed by an opponent's card, so if you ram it into something or if it's attacked, you can then search one fiend monster whose combined attack and defense equals 2000 from your deck to your hand, except herself. Except herself is unfortunate because sometimes you want to crash, add her, normal summon her, summon back the other, because the Monster Reborn effect does not say except herself. So you can Alice to revive an Alice. But it can add some wacky stuff, of course, being able to add all the Ladies of Lament, but it can also add things like Token Collector, which has 0 attack and 2000 defense, which obviously Sword Soul's not favored this format that much, but if you do run into one, you can throw one in the side, just for that weird niche interaction. Then the newest one is Loris, Lady of Lament, the cutie patootie, the child. This card's absolutely insane for follow-up. It lets you have a grind game where you otherwise wouldn't. It's basically a reverse extrav. You target 3 of your trap cards, normal traps that are banished or in your graveyard, and you place them at the bottom of the deck in any order, and then you draw 1 card for every 3 cards you put back. So if you put back 6, you draw 2. If you put back 3, you draw 1, resetting all your traps. Then if another monster is tributed, doesn't matter on whose side of the field, or if a normal trap is sent to your graveyard by an opponent's card effect, except during the damage step, you can target 1 normal trap in your graveyard and set it. So basically giving you some recursion with your traps without having to pretty much pay anything. You'll be tributing throughout anyway, and then those tributes will just give you traps, and then you can only use each of her effects once per turn. And then the one I am seriously considering bumping up to is Malice, Lady of Lament. Absolutely insane card. She's the other quick effect tribute, but she tributes 2 monsters, and they don't have to be dark. Then she targets 1 normal trap that is banished from the graveyard and sets a target, and then places it on the bottom of the deck when it leaves the field. So it literally is recursion after use, which is absolutely insane. And of course, being the quick effect along with Lilith is really, really important. I do find myself sometimes needing 2 of her, or sometimes even 2 of Loris, but Loris unfortunately early game does nothing except, recur maybe 1 or 2 traps, but you want to stack up those traps and then drop Loris and get some more advantage. Then we of course are playing the secret Lady of Lament tour guide from the Underworld. Let's actually get these ladies off here so we can have a look at these beautiful ultimate rares. Had to bring them out for this profile, had to play them today. This card is absolutely beautiful. Besides being beautiful, it isn't that insane in this deck yet. Once we get Reporter of the Underworld, I believe it is, this becomes a 1-card live Lilith. So you normal summon this, special summon Lilith, link the 2 into the Reporter. Reporter revives Lilith, and then Lilith can then, having her effect not being negated off of tour guide, link tribute off the Reporter and then search your traps, which is absolutely insane. But for now, she is essentially bait. It does technically get you into your engine, it gets you into Zeus threats, it gets you into Beat Cop, but yeah, she's essentially bait for the Imperm Ash Vela for you to then use a very important card in this deck that I actually haven't played in any of the versions prior to this. My most recent version of the deck was a Dogmatica version, and as much as it was quite powerful, and at the time I said it was the best version of the deck, I do believe this is the new best version of the deck by far. Then for the other Lair of Darkness monsters, we are playing 3 Arima, so this is obviously your glorified terraforming, discard to add Lair of Darkness, but also you can tribute a dark monster to draw a card, and if you tribute a dark monster other than itself, you can add a dark monster with 2000 or more defense. Now usually you'd be adding Diabolus, and if you tribute one of your own dark monsters, obviously other than itself, and add a Diabolus, you could then instantly summon the Diabolus in a new chain, sort of like how Multi-Faker and personal spoofing works. But we aren't playing Diabolus because the card is not very good. It's very slow. If it was a quick effect to tribute to, get your opponent to put a card from their hand to the top or bottom of the deck, it'd be absolutely insane, but unfortunately it is not. And although it cannot be targeted or tributed, that doesn't come up as much as it used to with all the non-target removal that's currently in the game. But yeah, this is a lot better because it adds one of the win cons of the deck, which I realized today, which I might actually bump up to 3, but I don't know how that would work with bricking and whatnot. We are playing 2 Lord of the Heavenly Prison. This card is absolutely wild. The OTK potential that this card gives the deck is insane. Being able to like set a Lair of Darkness, activate Lair of Darkness, summon Lord. You don't even get the set, and it's just a 3000 beat, so you can just ram into your opponent's board or monsters, or even into their life points. That's how I won the finals, the 3rd game in the final match. I had a Zeus and I had a Lair of Darkness in hand, and I top decked this. I literally set the Lair, activated the Lair, summoned this, turned my Zeus to attack and attacks for 6k, and he was on 5-7. It was absolutely insane. But yeah, this card is wild. A lot of people are saying once the runics become more easily accessible, obviously they've been released this past weekend, that you would cut this for the runics, because you can fusion summon a monster that protects all your cards from destruction. This only protects back row. I disagree entirely. This card being able to search anything, whether it's a power trap or power spell or even Lair of Darkness, is absolutely insane. And that synergy with, just flipping a card and being able to summon an attack it's insane. This card is ridiculous. I don't understand how trap decks or just decks in general are not playing this card. I'm even considering bumping it up to 3. Every time I saw it, it was amazing. And I never saw 2 because I guess I'm only playing 2. And that's it for the monsters. It's a pretty big lineup. That is probably as small as you can get the lineup. You could essentially cut the tour guides. There is, of course, the card I'm going to show that it synergizes with. There are other options. Sangan is definitely one. However, if you play Sangan, you'd probably have to play 2, and then you'd have to play Ash just so you can search a hand trap. Just some different ideas. That would probably be the alternative to the tour guide. For our power spells, we are playing 3 extra. Prosperity is probably better. Prosperity makes rogue decks just be able to play, makes them a little bit better. But I don't know, in this deck, being able to draw and see into your power traps, or even into a single Lady of Lament, is very satisfying. And of course, it's more luck based because you don't get to choose, but sometimes card advantage in this deck is more important than getting a, I guess, key element, because the win con of this deck has changed. It used to be Lair of Darkness and Lilith. Now it's pretty much just Lilith. Like the Lair of Darkness is almost win more, and it's kind of great because the whole day today I would like activate Lair of Darkness, people would pop it, people would negate it, people would judge wins it, and I'd be like, okay, cool, normal summon, and then I would activate this card, Ties of the Brethren. This card is absolutely absurd. So this is obviously after your bait of tour guide. You'd normal tour guide, they usually Ash it, Imperm Veil or whatever, and you would drop this. You pay 2,000 life points. You cannot special summon for the rest of the turn after this card resolves, and then you special summon 2 monsters from your deck with the same type, attribute, and level as a monster. And in case you didn't notice, all the Ladies of Lament are level 3 Fiend Darks, as well as our tour guide. So it's absolutely insane. You cannot conduct the battle phase that uses card, which conflicts a little bit with the card that I have on my side. It did conflict today, but I ended up winning anyway, of course. But this is insane. It gets you into your entire engine. There is... I don't understand how a card like this with a deck like this is even possible, but and I don't understand how other decks have not broken this yet, but this card in this deck is absolutely absurd. Then of course we are playing 3 Lair of Darkness. So Lair of Darkness, like I said, it allows you once per turn to tribute your opponent's monster if you were to activate a card effect, or I think it's not even a card effect. If you just were to tribute, you can use one of your opponent's monsters, one of their dark monsters. And of course, Lair of Darkness makes everything on the field dark. It is also however many times a monster is tributed, at the end of that player's turn, they get tokens equal to the amount. So sometimes you'll be able to tribute like 3-4 cards in your turn, and it ends up spamming your board with tokens, which is absolutely insane. It means that you're extremely difficult to kill. And then obviously if you tribute during your opponent's turn, you give them tokens in the end phase, but then you just tribute those tokens anyway. So yeah, absolutely insane card. Again, it used to be the win con. It still is technically a win con, but it's a win more win con, I think. And then with regards to my final spell, going into this deck and going into the next deck that I'm going to be playing, which is Labyrinth, I thought to myself, we need to be able to play a going second card that is the most impactful it can be. So cards like Dark Ruler No More came up. However, this deck is not great at cracking a board because your monsters don't really do that. You can do Zeus plays, but sometimes you have to extra at the beginning of the turn and you lose your Zeus package, which I will address once we get to the extra deck. Then I thought about Mystic Mine, and it is very, very toxic. This deck is one of those few decks you can drop a mine and you can actually draw enough cards to see an engine, see a Lady of Lament, plus ties, and just win. But I didn't really want to do that too often. I say too often because you'll see what I'm playing. So the final card for this format, and which won me every single duel that I resolved today, is Super Poly. This card is absolutely absurd. I don't know how it's legal. I don't know what they were thinking bringing this back. I almost sold my secrets a while ago. I'm glad I didn't. They're absolutely beautiful. But the card is just ridiculous. Every time I resolve this card, I won. Not being able to respond with anything, even things like Solemn Judgment or traps, it blows so many decks out of the water, and being a pseudo trap by itself is absolutely insane. The discard isn't too heavy. Of course, we are playing extra to get that extra card advantage so that the discard isn't heavy. But yeah, this card is absurd. It is the best going second card in this deck. Also, being able to make everything dark with Lair of Darkness means you have a really, really good Super Poly target in the form of Starving Venom, but of course you have more generic Super Poly targets anyway. So yeah, I think this was the right choice. I don't think hand traps are that impactful as formats, and to be honest, even against rogue decks, I don't think they're that impactful. They just don't seem to do enough. So yeah, this is what I settled on, and then I am playing the one mine, and I am playing the Metaverse. So this is literally a backup plan. I was actually speaking to my friend Andrew, and he plays Sky Striker, and he was like, well, where mine is a backup plan for you, it's a win con for me. And I kind of get that, but yeah, sometimes you do have to drop the mine, and you do have to, go into a Zeus play, or you do have to wait until you can draw something to play. I did that in my finals. I think I only resolved mine once, and it was in the finals, game 1, the one that I won. I dropped mine, and then I special summoned an Alice, and normal summoned Lilith, and then I just made her rank 3 and went into Zeus with Downed and cleared the entire board. And then set a trap, which is generally quite good. But yeah, this is obviously insane. Metaverse also being able to grab your Lair of Darkness is also very important. But yeah, you could essentially cut the Super Polys and play 3 mine and play a terraforming, but I don't know, I wanted to be toxic without being too toxic, and the fact that I only resolved it once the entire tournament does make me feel sort of justified. But yeah, it is definitely a backup plan. Then for the traps, which is literally the heart and soul of the deck, we are playing 2 IDP. So this card falls in and out of favor, different formats, whatever, people are playing differently. I think it's absolutely insane. Every time I resolved it, I won my duels. There's a lot of cards that once I resolved once, I just won. This is one of them. Against Mathmech, you clear everything. It's absolutely absurd. Yeah, obviously hard ones per turn means we only play 2, and you'll see that becomes a little bit of a theme here with Dogmatic Punishment. Again, because it is a hard ones per turn, we're only playing 2, but this being able to give you draws, being able to pop 2 cards, it's insane. You have to play it. Then for the other 2 orbs, which I actually am considering bumping up to 3 because they're not once per turn, is Compulsory Evacuation Device. Also, insane card against the Madolche matchup. It's great, getting rid of their normal summon. Literally all of their cards are 1 card starters from what I could tell, and being able to bounce them back just so that they can't resolve is extremely strong. This is one of the cards I would consider bumping up to 3. The other card I'd consider bumping up to 3 is Back to the Front. In my siding patterns, what I would literally do, I'm not joking, is take out every single card that was an engine. So even these, I would take out every card that was an engine, that wasn't extract, that wasn't ties. I'd maybe cut like a tour guide. I would take out all the traps, and I would go through my side deck, see what was best against my opponent, put those in, and just organize it like that. However, I always kept in 1 Back to the Front. Being able to just grab this off of a Lilith, or even see it in your hands when you draw, when you set. It's really, really strong, just being able to push for game with those extra bodies, activating this in the end phase of your opponent's turn, and then pushing for game. And then a card that is new, that is a little bit niche, I suppose. It's interesting because it's technically It's technically every card, every trap card in one, but it's got some downsides to it. So this is Terrors of the Overroots. It's a common out of Power of the Elements, believe it or not. It targets one card your opponent controls and one card in their graveyard. You then send the card on the field to the graveyard, and if you do, you set the other card from the graveyard to your opponent's field. You can only activate one Terrors of the Overroot per turn. So the interesting thing about this is it says cards. It doesn't say monsters, it doesn't say spells and traps, and it's sets. So best case scenario, you can send power cards, power normal summons, power bodies, and give them ashes. Literally like set their ash, or set their terraforming, or set cards that don't really do anything. And when I resolved this card, that is usually what was happening. However, obviously sometimes you're forced to resolve this card and you're giving them something good, which obviously isn't great. But yeah, being able to outmine with this was insane. There was actually a play I did against a Goatee player. He was playing a Mystic Mine. He had a monster on board, and he had the Goatee field spell Engrave. And mine on board, and I had like 5 monsters. And I literally Terror of the Overroots sent his monster, but targeted the field spell Engrave. So literally the field spell then got set over their Mystic Mine. So I literally cleared the 2 threats with 1 card, and that's essentially what it is. It's a DD Crow, it's a MST, it's just whatever you need it to be when you need it to be. You could arguably cut this for the 3rd back to front and the 3rd compulse. The compulse is insane, this format, being able to remove the bodies. But I really like this card. We'll see how it goes more in testing. Obviously in Labyrinth it will be a card that I mess around with. And then the final card is Trap Trick, which means I'm literally playing 3 of every single one of these, because you Lilith, show the 2, show this, and then you're good to go. But I often found myself, a lot of these cards do the same things. So like I would show 2 and then 1, or I would show 2 and then 1, or 2 and 1 and 1. It's a lot of them do the same thing. So it actually doesn't matter unless you know specifically that your 1 trap card is absolutely insane in the matchup. Then this comes up. The list is a clean 40. Did not want to go over the 40 mark. Just wanted to make it as consistent as possible. Extra deck. This card. This card is insane. I do own 2. The second one is going in. I just want to show you the list exactly for how I played it. This is insane. The battle effect never came up, but the super poly and then link off to draw a card is wild. It is gross. Definitely play 2. Best super poly target. Every time I resolve super poly was usually to go into this. Other super poly targets, one of was Draco Stapelia. I didn't play against tier elements. We have 1 local tier element player and 1 local sprite player. It didn't come up, but it was there in case. But I was literally just going to put in a second guru and cut that. Then for the other super poly targets, 2 of we playing 2 Starving Men, obviously Lair Darkness making everything dark, and then 2 Mud Dragon. This card is awesome. So being able to resolve super poly, calling dark, and then protecting your tour guides and your Alices, and even your Lilith unless you tribute something else. But yeah, being able to protect all your cards is insane. So in fact, in that last match where I made the Zeus, I literally super polyed his board away, summoned this, called dark, normaled Alice brought back, I think it was Lilith, and then I made a Zeus, attacked into him, and then made Zeus cleared his entire board and set a trap. He had Imperm. He had Imperm, but he couldn't target my Alice, so I had to double Zeus him. But it worked out, because if I didn't call dark, he would have just impermed the Alice, and I would have passed on my Dragon Alice, which obviously isn't great. My Dragon's absolutely insane. So 2/2, and I would definitely cut this for a second Garura, because you could, 9 out of 10 times you'll be able to go into Starving when you can go into Draco Stapelia, even though Draco Stapelia is a negate. Other fusions, we're playing 2 Enters. I would not play more, would not play less. Omega is another option. You could cut 1 and play an Omega, but I don't know. 2 Enters was great for me. And then I did play a Zeus package, obviously. This came up a few times, and I actually am thinking about playing an entire second package. So literally a second Fortune Tune, second Down, and second Zeus, because the rest of these cards in my extra deck I did not summon once. I summoned maybe once, so I guess that's a lie, but yeah, I am heavily considering cutting these for a second Zeus package. It was Underworld Goddess to out the Adignista, Beat Cop, and Dark. So these were the ones I didn't summon once. In theory, Dark into Underworld Goddess is insane. I'm not playing the IP because I just don't know. I'm not playing Link Spider. I'm not playing there's just you need to be able to make the IP, and I don't know, 9 out of 10 times I want to keep my Ladies of Lament on, and after I've resolved ties I can't special anyway. So yeah, this never comes up. This is probably still good as a failsafe, but I guess going into certain locals you take that risk. You can cut this for the second Zeus package. Beat Cop is technically part of the deck. You sort of have to play it. They did come up once or twice where I just linked off like tokens and Alice's and stuff that I couldn't use into this, and then had Lair and was able to do some shenanigans to protect my Lair, to protect her. You can also do the absolutely wild thing of protecting Mystic Mind, which is just freaking gross, but anyway. And then your Dark is in theory insane, but it never came up, like I said. And then the one card that did come up to actually pop a rivalry, which let me get my Lord of the Heavenly out, was Phoenix. Phoenix I'd probably still play. Just it being a fiend is really, really good. And yeah, just generic removal is always good to have at least one in your extra deck, whether it's Unicorn or this. So yeah, I don't know. It's like you want to keep one of these, and which one you keep is like really dependent on you and your matches and your locals, essentially. Giveaway to win this beautiful mat as well as the poster here. I'm not sure if you can see. Let me know what your favorite deck of all time is down in the comments below, and we'll select a winner at a random time. I know I've got a couple of other giveaways that I haven't announced winners for yet. It's taking my time on them. I'm sorry, I've been really, really busy. But yeah, I'll announce those soon, and of course this one will come in a couple of weeks, probably a week or two. Side deck. The theory is we don't play meta. So I actually owned Splice for a short time. I played two locals with it. I won the one. The second one I tried a weirdo Jarmo build. It didn't go well, and I don't know, I just didn't like how the deck played. Yes, it's great to be able to make Toads first turn, but guess what? Normal summon swap from now in Swap Paleo also makes Toad first turn with the Sprite extra deck cards, which I managed to keep a copy of each for. So that worked out quite well. So the new theory going into the format is play every rogue deck that can play this, because this is really good against the meta, terrible into certain matches like the Exorcist matchup obviously, as well as the Flunder. But that being said, this is in our side in our deck, just more going second power. The card is absolutely insane. I think I resolved it against a Mathmech player and he literally couldn't do anything except set up like random bodies. But yeah, this card is insane. If you can play it in a deck, you need to play it in that deck. For the next side, we play one Harpies. Never saw it, but you have to play it. And then I did play, I know it's gross, the other two mines. Like I said, I did side them in a couple of times, never saw them, so it didn't matter. In fact, I actually discarded them for Super Polys often, because usually Super Poly or mine Super Poly or vice versa is game. Sometimes Super Poly by itself is game. Actually, most of the time it was. Different Dimension Ground, definitely think I need to cut this or cut the next card for more back row hate, or I don't know. I'm feeling weird about this card. Shifter technically does the same thing. Neither hurts you, so it doesn't actually matter. But yeah, it never came in. The card that did come in, even going second, was Heavy Storm Duster. I used this to pop some mines myself, pop some Mathmech cards, pop some Dolce cards. But yeah, I think I would keep the traps in just because of the easy access with Lilith and Trap Trick. This is the card that obviously conflicts with ties. You have to go to your battle phase to be able to resolve this. But every time I resolved this, it was really, really good. Obviously being good against, you know, spam disruption, not negation monster decks as well as back row decks. Yeah, absolutely insane card. And then we did play the 3 Judgments. You have to play this. This is not negotiable. This is the one card in the side deck. This and the Shifters. Everything else, and probably the Mines and the Harpies. These two ofs are all, you know, you can switch them out. You can play Twins. You can play a bunch of different other cards, but these have to pretty much stay in. Because they're just insane. They go in almost every either going first or going second, actually. And that is pretty much it for the deck profile, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, you know how to enter that giveaway if you've stuck throughout the entire video. And yeah, this is absolutely one of my favorite decks, if not my favorite deck. This deck was actually given to me by my girlfriend, the 3 structure decks, Day of Darkness. So it's got a very special place in my heart. And of course, being one of the first videos that actually took off and helped my channel grow, it just means there's a lot of nostalgia attached to it. It is a little bit of a shame though, because this is probably one of the only locals I'll be playing using the deck for a while. Labyrinth is coming out, and of course, if you have eyes and you've seen those cards, you know that they're absolutely stunning. So I'm going to hopefully be building that. Have an awesome build for that as well. Very, very thought of, in-depth build for that. So I'm hopefully going to take that to locals and do well with that as well. If I don't, I'll probably do the profile anyway. But yeah. Also, just real quick, we do have our tokens. Lair of Darkness. I didn't take them to the tournament today, which was quite disappointing. So I ended up using all of the branded tokens, but they're beautiful. But yeah, we have to play the Lair of Darkness tokens. And yeah, that's pretty much it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed this deck profile, this 1,000 subscriber specials. Thank you once again so much for helping us get to the YouTube partner monetized era of the Future Knight YGO channel. And yeah, that being said, this is Future Knight signing out.